This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Any other opens?
The only other comment I would make is, during the workshop last week, big discussion around tests, and of course you and I are meeting later today, but at some point, some formalization maybe of a test-focused effort as well.
Okay,
How do we
yeah.
dovetail that into ODSA?
Yep. Okay, how do we push that into ODSA? Okay. Every time I see Kevin, I can think KD. KD is just like, reserved for Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want to put a basketball in my hands. It's not pretty.
Okay. Any other opens? So,
You would do with KD's money, though, probably.
No comment.
okay. Let us see. All right, let me do the logistics first, and then I think we should have an open discussion about the test side. It's a and so logistics wise, we have a keynote a panel and a half-day workshop. The panel has 5 participants. From there's Kevin, there's Brian Allison from IBM, there's Wanamir from Western, there's who am I losing? Oh yeah, there's Mark Kemmerly from Global, and there's oh my God, he's going to kill me. I'm drawing a. Who am I missing? Zvonimir, Kevin. Zvonimir, Kevin.
This is at the OCP Summit?
Yeah. 5 participants on the Open Encore. Again, we're going to do a repeat of the panel. We have a half-day workshop. We've got, then I've got like a 5-minute, please come to my session speech on the opening day. A half-day workshop, we've got DJ, Jawad. DJ's got an overview talk. Jawad's got a CDX talk. Mark's doing a bow talk. It's not Quinn, right? Quinn for Steve is doing the POC talk.
Steve is going to do the POC talk for me.
Then Sam had to drop out, so Wolfgang from Avera is doing a packaging talk. And I had a slot, but I think I'm going to sort of cut my slot down to an intro. That's basically it. So this is on Friday morning, if my memory is correct, Jawad. And we have a schedule. I'm trying to work a break in. All the other sessions have a break in. It's a bit late, but if Bill Carter doesn't object and Kelly don't object, then we'll adjust the schedule. If it's too late, we'll just leave it as is.
Hey, Bobby, are you meaning to be sharing your screen?
Oh, shoot. I've been typing away and I haven't. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. This is embarrassing. I have 5 panelists who've been nice enough, and I can't. It's Wanimir, Brian, DJ, Mark, and why am I drawing a blank on the 5th name? This is kind of embarrassing. I'll add it in later.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm joining a few minutes late.
No worries, DJ. We have a light agenda. We're doing two things. One is just going over the regional summit, and
Okay.
the second is basically opens, and then Ilko had wanted to have a discussion around test and around test for ODSA and whether we should do a formal work group. That's basically it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, and let me see. I've got, yeah. So this is basically it. Jawad, does that answer? Oh, I lost Jawad and he's back again. Does that answer your question in terms of what?
Bobby, are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yes, thanks.
Okay. And this is terrible. I'm drawing a blank on my fifth panelist, and this is okay. All right. So DJ has a really nice overview talk of ODSA and everything else, and I think in a follow-on meeting, if you're not able to make what we'll have DJ do is redo the talk for us. DJ, is there anybody here who's going to be at the Amsterdam Summit other than DJ and Kevin and Jawad? DJ, do you want to do it? Well, no, that's unfair. Maybe after in the week after you can do a rerun of your talk
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that. Yeah. Happy to do that.
because it's a nice set of slides. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else in terms of anybody have any other questions in terms of the Amsterdam Summit?
So what do we want to gain out of the summit? What is the goal?
Oh,
Is it just to inform people that this work group is working, or is there something else we want to gain out of it?
it's existence proof.
Huh?
Existence proof. We exist.
Okay.
No,
I can answer that question, Rohit. So ODSA actually became part of OCP just recently after the global summit. So ODSA was not an official project within OCP. This is the first instance where ODSA has opportunity to inform the community, OCP community, like Bapi said, of its existence, and also to promote for a wider audience all the activities which this group has been doing since January. So, we have workshops locally in the Bay Area, but obviously, folks in Europe may not be able to attend it. So this became a synergistic opportunity that OCP is happening in Amsterdam, and there is enough amount of work which will be done between March and September, which needs a serious readout to the community, not just to the ODSA group, but to the OCP community. So this is more like a coming out party for ODSA officially. This has never been done before within the OCP context.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And to add additional color for ODSA, it's been a wonderful organizing milestone to sort of aim to do specific things by the regional summit, and I think we'll repeat it for the global summit. It sort of really spurred activity in the POC. It spurred activity in the bunch of wires interface. Speak of bunch of wires and mark arrives. So it spurred activity in the CDX. So there's a lot of value in just being a wonderful milestone around which we organize ourselves. Oh, that reminds me, right. The other thing we're trying to get going is PR, and it is hopefully, I think we're almost there, a global PR and project PR for the POC, the CDX, and Bow. Right? That's basically where we're at. This is what we're thinking. I think by early next week we should sort of have this figured out. Is that fair? Oh no, Dirk is not on. Okay. So this is the universe of activities that are in flight. Does that make sense, Rohit?
Yeah, thank you. I joined late, so I'm just this must be something which you guys already know very well.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. Anything else about the regional summit? Oh, no, please ask away. Anything else? I'm happy to answer. Hey DJ, I just realized we need to sync up today about the PR. Jawad, you're in flight with yours, right? There's nothing else you need.
The only thing I need is approval by Dirk. I already sent it to him.
Yep. And Quinn, you got the POC, right? There's nothing else you need from anyone.
I don't think so.
Okay. And Mark, the bow, I guess if it's all come through in the end, that's in your hands.
Yeah, we're actually working on it. I just got the agreement for the copyright agreement, and it's going through our Avera / Global Foundries PR process.
Okay. And the final news, I think, Mark, it's safe to say we're pretty close to releasing a 0.7 draft of the proposal, right?
Yeah, we're pretty close. We just have to polish up the last few items. I think we'll be on target to release it before the regional summit. It probably will have a lot less detail than people might like to see, since we stripped a lot out over the copyright discussions, but it's something to build off of in the future.
So I think we didn't follow up on Kevin. I missed the POC meeting this week. I think someone from Metronome dropped off samples, and I'm assuming somebody from Electronics dropped off samples. Do we have the mechanical samples to share?
We have the mechanical samples. I'm not sure if the devices got integrated or not. I'll double check that. The heatsink covers them, so it's very difficult to see. But I'll
Okay.
Yeah,
I think the idea.
Sorry, go ahead.
Somehow they have to get to Bill Carter. You're one of you guys be able to hand them over?
We have 3 samples. Aaron's carrying one, I'm carrying one, and DJ is carrying one. So we'll track Bill down.
Okay. And CDX, Jawad, we're just announcing the formation of the group, right?
That's right.
So, wow, okay. Whoever asked me the question, milestones, Jawad, I mean, our logistics for the Amsterdam Summit, thank you. This is the universe of things happening.
Of course, the other thing you need to accomplish in Amsterdam is to make sure you get a real Heineken, one that's not pasteurized like the stuff we get here.
I see. Do I add that to the minutes or not?
That's up to you. Some good Indonesian food too.
I think Kevin will follow up on that.
I got that covered.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, I'm counting on you.
Okay, so we've got these things in flight. We've got this PR and these milestones. The PR is PR. Okay, that's basically it. Any other questions? Okay, so then I will, in terms of logistics, would maybe if should we sync briefly on Thursday? On Thursday, should we sync briefly on Thursday before the session so that all of us? Yeah, could everybody send your slides? I'll send out an email actually. If everybody can send their slides to me over the weekend. I'll hold them in one place.
So Bapi, you got my slides, right?
I have your slides. I'm going to say, in terms of logistics, if you could please send your slides to me by the weekend.
That includes tonight up until 2 a.m., right?
Sorry?
That includes tonight up until 2 a.m. at least, right?
No, that includes all the way till Sunday, Monday morning, 5 a.m. I don't care.
Okay,
You know,
great. It just has to be in the weekend. Great.
yeah, in the weekend. Then on Monday, I'll just create one drive, and what I'll do is I'll hand it over to or give DJ or Kevin a copy as well before they leave. Okay, so DJ, Jawad, Mark, Steve. Well, hey, I have Wolfgang up for packaging, Mark.
Yeah. So I discussed it with Wolfgang. He thought he was covering what would have been a panel session before. So he's going to have some introductory charts and try to use it as a way to have an active and engaged discussion. So his idea was to create to give a brief introduction on some of the interesting challenges and have a reverse panel discussion with the audience.
Okay, let's give that a whack.
Yeah, we'll cross our fingers and hope it works.
Well, yeah, okay, sounds good. And
I think if anybody can pull it off, it's him.
Sounds like a plan. I'll send out individual reminders, and this time from the panelists we have slides. So I'll ask the panelists for slides too. This is terrible. I'm not able to. Why am I drawing a complete blank on my fifth panelist? Okay. Anything else? Given how this is, I think DJ, and it's fair to say that we want to do a similar organizing around a milestone for the global summit, right?
Absolutely. In fact, we should continue to maintain this opportunity to carry on workshop, because we are going to do workshops anyway. So we should plan and time the workshop with the OCP summit, and it can be done concurrently, just like what we are doing now. Half a day workshop.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. You're right. I think we're also planning for our next workshop in December. We're hunting for locations. There's one that looks good, but we're aiming for the next regular workshop in December.
Hey, Bapi, do you have Animesh or Steve on the panel?
No, not Steve. Steve got replaced by Brian.
Okay.
It's you, DJ, Zvonimir, and this is ridiculous. He's going to kill me when he finds out whoever I've dropped. Yeah.
Is it Kevin Drucker?
No, Kevin got replaced by DJ.
Okay.
No, it's the other way around. DJ got replaced by Kevin.
Yeah, DJ got replaced by Kevin.
DJ got replaced by Weevil Twin.
I was just trying to cover for Kevin or IBM.
Thank you, my brother from another mother.
Okay, Ilko, it's all yours if you want to sort of kick us off.
Yeah, so the reason I asked to put this on here is, there was quite a bit of discussion at the workshop about tests, and certainly tests at several levels, I think, is a key topic for enabling this whole chiplet ecosystem, starting with, what is a known good die. It's one thing if the chiplet comes as a wafer level CSP, which is essentially a fully tested package, but it's another if it comes as a bare die. And then it extends all the way through to the DFT work that needs to be done during the integration module design, and then through final test. Is it AT or is it SLT once you've got this integrated system or virtual SOC? So yeah, the only question I had is, given that much energy, does it make sense to kick off a more formal effort or even subgroup within ODSA, much like Jawad's effort on design, to focus specifically on addressing some of those questions? And at BOPI, you and I are meeting with SEMI this afternoon. So for everyone's benefit, SEMI has a number of working group subcommittees that very similar to actually OCP under it, that work on all sorts of industry items. One of those groups is an organization called CAST. I can't recall what the acronym stands for right now, but they're a very specifically test-focused group. And I happened to meet with the person who heads up all the work groups last week and asked him about the activities of CAST, and he said, well, it's actually funny, we're just wrapping up our last project and looking for our next. So we may be able to tie these pieces together. That's what we'll talk about this afternoon, but just wanted to see what other people's thoughts and level of energy was on this.
I think it's a very important topic overall, and I totally agree with you, Elko, that we should have some formal activity around it, because this topic keeps coming. In the absence of test, I think it's very difficult to think about the architectural issues. So I think this will be a fantastic issue.
Yeah, and then Jawad, let me ask you, since you're focusing on the EDA stuff, the
Hey,
DFT, the
there's a
DFT,
lot of
where does that fit?
somebody may need to go on mute. I'm sorry, Ilko.
I'm getting a lot of feedback too.
Yes, if you wouldn't mind going on mute.
I think it's Ramin based on
Okay.
the icons.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, please.
So I was just asking Jawad, since he's focused on the EDA, obviously anything we do with DFT should tie to that a little bit too. So we'll have to figure out how to coordinate that.
Yeah, I wanted to add that with the help of some others, I've put together some pieces, some material and tests that I'll try to add to the document. I just haven't got the chance to. I've been quite busy. But mainly tests.
Are you talking about the bow spec, Ramin?
Yeah, test on the bow interface. Yeah, the loopback test and things like that.
Oh, that's great.
Got it. Okay.
So
Hey,
Bobby, I think
do you have any sense of what you think the charter or the near-term objective will be? And
so I think, there's a couple of objectives I could think of, right? As we look at different chiplets, and they'll probably get enabled by waves of functionality, for lack of a better term. It's not like suddenly it's going to be everything. It'll be memory buffers, it'll be accelerators, whatever. One would be to start to develop some KGD standards to define what's, or maybe some different classifications even, right? Everybody doesn't need to comply with the standard, but everybody using chiplets should be aware what level of test a product has received. So that as you design, you can do the kind of yield calculations that Mark was showing last week. And then the second thought would be around DFT, for different functional blocks. Is there a way to define some test strategies or test hooks that should be brought out in the design of an integrated part that would enable the debug that's required as you start to build these parts. And final test, I think, is, it's always going to be a question if you're building a virtual SOC because you're just disaggregating a die. I suspect it's probably going to continue to be SOC ATE test, just with some different test hooks. But if you're making a module like some of the things Jawad and his team are doing, it may become more of an SLT type test. But some guidelines around that to help the community.
Another interesting aspect, Elko, there was a presentation by, I guess that was Ashwin from Facebook, where he was talking about how to plug in chiplet level monitoring into software level framework. So in a way, you can think of it as, monitoring and test, but on the fly. So some of those hooks actually can be coordinated with the whole software stack as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely by no means a test expert, but just given the level of energy around it, and certainly from our side, from ASC side, where we do provide assembly and test services, I can tell you based on experience, that test is always a big factor in both the module design as well as the final manufacturing and viability of that module.
I agree completely. I think if we don't figure out the test challenge, then we don't have a way to produce viable product.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
let's see how the conversation goes this afternoon, Bobby. I mean, if we can loop Cast into this, we may be able to bring some additional members who are specifically test-focused people.
got it.
Hey, Alco, I had one question. Is this work group only going to focus on the test of the chiplets, or is it also going to focus on the test of the whole interconnect between the chiplets and the ASIC, if you may?
Yeah, so like I said, I kind of divided into three parts, right? I think, and there's probably more, but one is the test of the incoming chiplets so that you can do some reasonable simulations and both functional and yield simulations. Number two is the whole DFT process for testing those interfaces, exactly as you said. How do you go about designing for test when you start to create this virtual SOC or SIP module? And then the third is, once you've created it, how do you do the final test? So I think there's really three parts to the charter.
Do I have that right? One, I have them captured here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. David Kellett is the fifth panel member.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Bapi, just one comment. When number 2 point develop some KGD standards, not KDD.
Oh.
No, known good die.
Yeah. And Elko had some creative ideas around module specification, but he didn't bring them up in his talk. But maybe we come back to them in a follow-up, and they become a part of this.
Yeah, that's true, right? I mean, it certainly with the KGD piece. So I think what you're referring to, Bapi, was the thought of as people design chiplets for different functionalities, another challenge that comes in is, let's say you have a memory buffer. Those chips are going to be designed to meet a certain specification, but individually, each of those ICs is going to look quite different. And at some point, would it actually make sense to use wafer level CSP or fan out technology at a packaging level to, in a sense, standardize each of these chiplets in terms of pin out and form factor so they can be more easily integrated? And that actually helps facilitate the test, because now you can do a component level test as well. I think for SIP type modules, it would work. It may be trickier for the virtual SoC where space is at more of a premium.
So, it wasn't clear to me the first time Elko described it, but what Elko essentially saying is, say, can you take like something like a 8-core CPU and say, this is going to be the form factor of the 8-core CPU, and this is going to be the standard pinout of the 8-core CPU. And how the 8-core CPU achieves it is up for debate, but you're kind of saying this is the IO form factor.
Yeah, that was kind of the thought, right? I don't know how well that could be done, but certainly through some of the wafer level fan out packaging tools, it's definitely achievable. And for small die sizes, the cost impact's not very big.
Right.
But like you said, that may be a whole separate discussion.
I think it is a very neat idea. Okay, so in terms of if it works out, we're thinking timeline-wise, let's say like October is when we sort of gather up more participants, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think part of that exercise would probably need to be some surveying or a look at, just to say, okay, as different functional blocks, chiplet functional blocks come up, can these actually be grouped into different categories? Do we have a reasonable sense of, what the market's going to want in terms of a timeline? SerDes, buffers, accelerators, whatever it may be. And then from there, we can probably start to draw some conclusions if that would make sense or not.
Okay. Perfect. So maybe we'll come back to this in a couple of weeks and then see where.
Yeah, I think maybe after Amsterdam.
And we'll aim for some announcement or some milestone in December, in the December workshop. Okay. Any other thoughts from anyone? I know Mark will be a big proponent when this gets going.
Absolutely.
Okay, two other topics more briefly, and I'm glad DJ is online, because Ashwin Pujari from Facebook had this idea about monitoring, and I wanted to have, I think many of you were present at the workshop, so I wanted to have some kind of a discussion on next steps. And he went to a decent amount of trouble to sort of put this proposal together. For those who heard it, any thoughts on how we move this forward? Or how do we have a discussion on moving it forward in some fashion? Who would be the right companies? Anything? Let me just see if anybody has any opinion on this.
Hey, Bobby, that
So,
Ashwin's presentation was very good, this JP. And so I think if we can apply the same principles that he presented to the POC effort, it'll be a great start. Anyway, we would need some kind of testing for the board. And we might as well start with his ideas or testing and monitoring.
so
Okay.
I think that's great, and we had a brief chat with JP as well at the workshop. Myself, Ashwin, and JP, we connected briefly. What I would suggest is, I think using Ashwin's presentation, we can perhaps think of even launching a software-centric track or the stream inside ODSA, because we can think slightly bigger than what Ashwin is presenting. And I chatted with Ashwin also that, monitoring and testing is fantastic, but in workshop, everybody talked about so many aspects of software as a gating item. So why don't we think of launching a software stream? Ashwin can, for now, lead or manage that stream. And within that stream, we can have big category items, right? Somebody commented on OS and middleware, somebody commented on testing and validation, and that actually will lead people to think bigger and figure out where they want to attach within this software stream. And then Bapi gives you a platform when you're talking with the community that we already have a software piece, we are already working on the data center, working on the module monitoring at scale, and then we need help in these 3 other areas which we have identified. And that way you can use Ashwin's talk as a launch pad to kind of start this effort and house this effort in one stream, rather than just focus on, let's just do something about the data center, about the module monitoring. That's how I would approach this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds very good to me. Yeah. So.
Okay. So essentially, go kick off. Use Ashwin as the launch pad for kicking off software activity.
Exactly, and Ashwin is happy to work on it or lead it for now. We need more people, obviously, but this is exactly how people will get attracted to it, because they will know where to go and sit and contribute. And it is very distinct activity from the hardware POC. So these are 2 separate, completely separate groups, and it will bring new set of people. Maybe we can bring people from Microsoft and others to contribute on the software side.
Makes sense. Okay, so then maybe we'll sync up with Ashwin offline and then just send out a bunch of invites to.
Yeah, so what I can do is I can take this action item on myself to start defining this work stream, working with Ashwin and Kevin, so 3 of us can work on it together. Give us some time if it is okay with everyone, and we are happy to have anybody join that definition group, and then we will come back with a proposal that this is what we are proposing. Maybe Ashwin can present in the next workshop the next steps which we are taking, launching the work stream, where we need help and all of that good stuff in December.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everyone on the call? Is there any way to improve this idea? Going once, going
Makes sense
twice,
to me.
gone. Okay, sorry.
Hey,
Kevin is the buyer.
Along that lines, but slightly orthogonal. I think there are a lot of work streams we could launch within the scope of ODSA, and I think there's probably a temporal aspect or a timing aspect of when it makes the most sense to launch those work streams. What I'd propose is putting together just sort of maybe a mind map of all the potential work streams that at some point we want to launch, and maybe as a as a team, as a group, agree on the timing of those different work streams? Does that make sense? Create a little structure around it. I'd be happy to put that together.
This feels like a pretty decent idea for the December workshop. I mean, for us to start working on it now and then glue it together by then.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I think the team members contributing to ODSA within Facebook keep asking, you know, what about this? What about security? What about, yeah. And I think they're all good ideas. I don't think we want to launch, 25 work streams today. Or and that's not intended to be a commentary on launching these two new work streams we're talking about. I think they're good ideas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted one last topic which we sort of hit in the POC, and I don't mean to sort of burn 30 minutes on this or even 10 minutes. But there seems to be in the POC discussions, JP and co spent a lot of time on I2C. How do you bring these things, bring parts up, etc., etc. It feels like that's going to be a problem with chiplets in general. Who brings up whom, what order they come up, how do they get managed, etc.
Mhm.
And I don't know that anybody's actually addressing that. Is that true or not? Or am I imagining a problem where, but it feels like there's something we spend a lot of airtime on in the POC.
Bhapi, are you talking about boot up sequencing and power sequencing, those kind of things?
Yeah.
Or you're talking about the initializations, enumeration and configuration, those kind of things.
Yes. Yes to everything, I guess.
Well, I think depends on the link and the interface protocol. Some protocol, for example, a PCIe or derivative, they have built-in mechanisms which is in-band, right? But of course, some kind of protocol will be using out of band. I think that's the problem you're trying to solve.
Say that part again, please.
I mean, some protocol like PCI Express, they have built-in in-band mechanisms, right? They don't really need a sideband to do anything,
right.
But some protocol will need the sideband. I'm not sure where we are going to discuss this, but very quickly, I just want to bring up, you mentioned the I2C. I think there's some industry trend moving to, for example, like the I3C, which is a faster and also the I2C compatible interface. So just FYI, in case you have not heard this I3C stuff.
I am profoundly ignorant in this, but
the I3C is defined by MIPI, M-I-P-I, which is a mobile industry. But then the I3C has a derivative called I3C Basic, which is a RAND royalty-free license. So this is something we can talk offline. I just want to bring up because I3C is much faster than I2C.
So
okay.
Bhapi, all the learning that JP and Faraz are having in dealing with this issue will be super valuable in answering these questions.
Right. Maybe we can have a separate review on how we are doing. And if you have multiple chiplets, this definitely be an issue. Who takes ownership? Who actually comes first? And right, so this is definitely a problem. It will be good to have some kind of standard bus that talks the same language across.
Okay, so maybe we start with a review of this.
Yeah, that would be a good starting point.
And we can decide on next steps then. Okay.
So Bhapi, I'll have to drop off. I'll connect with you offline sometime today. Sorry, we couldn't connect yesterday, but I'll try to find some time to connect today.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. And look forward to seeing everyone next week at Amsterdam. Bye.
All right. Thanks, DJ. So I think that's basically it. We don't have a meeting next week because of the regional summit. I should just probably put this here. No meeting next week. Outside of that, anything else? Anybody have any opens? Ramin, Mark?
It's turned into a lot of stuff for a short meeting.
I know, right?
Yep, no opens. Just doing my paperwork.
No,
Reza?
no, just Mark, let me know if you need any time together to go over my slides.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll try to set something up with you this afternoon, Ramin.
Hey, should we go with the final draft of, or do we have one? Should we do one more bow review today, or today or Monday?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Do you guys have time later in the afternoon?
Yeah, I'll set something up.
Or
No,
actually,
not in the afternoon.
early
Not
in your
before.
afternoon, later in my afternoon.
No, my early afternoon. Okay, I'll take this offline.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, Kenneth, please.
Yeah, so Mark mentioned about the 0.7 spec is moving along well. Congratulations. Is there a chance that we can actually get a draft for review, or this happens in the BOW sub team? Because we are not part of it.
All of you have access to that. I gave Milind and Jaydeep access to the draft. I'll give it to you too.
I have the 0.5 which you sent to us, but then
Oh no,
how
sorry.
do we get
Sorry, we've been losing the terminology. We just haven't labeled it properly. But that draft is a working draft.
It says 0.7 now.
Okay, but the last time you sent a file, I thought that you are going to send us a link so that we can get the latest copy. Is it? Well, I thought
you have access to the latest copy. That is the working draft.
We do? Okay. I will go back and take a look at it. Thank you very much.
Let me look. I'll just drop me a note and I'll send you the link. But I'm reasonably confident you have access to the working draft.
Okay. Thanks again. I will check too.
Nick? I don't know which Nick it is. Is it Nick from Google or Nick from Xilinx? Okay. Reza, man, you're up.
Nothing. Thanks a lot.
Rita Jawad.
No, thank you.
Okay. Paul Quinn.
No, nothing from me. Thanks.
JP.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Poppy.
Okay. Kevin or Kenneth?
Nothing for me. Thank you very much.
Okay. Then I guess everybody have a great weekend and everything. And talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay. We'll see you this
afternoon. Trip to Amsterdam.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.